In this video, I'm gonna share with you how to wholesale real estate even if you're broke. What's going on, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs, your family-oriented entrepreneur. Welcome to another video. So in this video, what I'd like to do is show you how to wholesale your first real estate deal, even if you're limited on capital. Now, the reason why I'm putting this video together is because I believe that wholesaling real estate is the entry level to investing in real estate. And of course, you can build an entire business with wholesaling real estate. What you're allowing yourself to do is get involved in real estate with very little risk, with no money, no credit, none of that stuff needed in order to really be able to get your feet wet in the real estate investing business. Now, in addition to that, I also believe that wholesaling provides you with an opportunity to understand what a real deal is. In order to grow your business efficiently and effectively, you need to get discounted real estate. And when you're wholesaling real estate, this is how you learn how to do it. So I really wanted to put this video together in an effort to allow you to understand what wholesaling is. But not only that, I also want to show you how to get your first wholesale deal as quickly as possible using modern day technology and other resources in order to be able to move relatively quickly. This video is going to be a step-by-step process on how to do it. I'm going to show you everything that you need to know in order to be able to wholesale your first deal. All you have to do is go out there and do the work. Nothing is easy. You're going to have to work for it. But at the end of the day, if you put in the time and effort, you'll be making money as a wholesaler in no time. Now, if you've been on my channel for a little while, you know I teach wholesaling. You also know that I teach passive income investing. And out of the two, I do prefer passive income investing. You need the quick cash from wholesaling, but you also need the monthly passive income, the cash flow from rental properties. So you really want to have a combination of both of these in order to be able to have an effective real estate investing business. I'm going to show you a step-by-step process on what wholesaling is and how you can get your first deal as quickly as possible. All you have to do is get out there, do the work, and make it happen. So let's jump in. Now, for those of you who really don't know what wholesaling real estate is, let me give you a brief understanding of how wholesaling real estate actually works. Wholesaling real estate is basically finding distressed real estate, whether it's physical or financial distress. In most cases, as a wholesaler, you're looking for physical distress. And what you're gonna do is get those properties at a discounted price. And then you're gonna go ahead and do what's called an assignment of contract or a double closing based on where you live. Because in some areas, the laws are different, and that's something that we'll talk about later on in this video as well. So you're either gonna do an assignment of contract, which is basically signing the agreement between you and the motivated seller, and then selling your contract for a profit. You're not selling the house because you don't own the house. You can only legally sell a house if you own a house, but you can sell the contract that you sign between you and the seller, which allows you vested interest in the equity that's in that property, and you can sell a portion of your equity to someone else for a profit. Another way to be able to do this is to double close, which basically means that you take ownership by using your cash or somebody else's cash and then selling the property right away to your end buyer for a profit. So distressed real estate can be financial distress. It can be physical distress. An example of physical distress can basically be a property that needs some work. It needs repair, but the owner of the property either don't want to go through the hassle of fixing the property up, or they simply just don't have the money, the financial resources to fix the property up. Financial distress can basically mean that a property owner owns a property, but they can't keep up on a mortgage, for example. You have people that inherit properties, but don't want to have two properties. You have people that are getting a job transfer. There's something going on, some type of distress, some type of problem that the seller has that's causing distress, and in turn, they would want to get rid of the problem, which is ultimately the house. So what you're looking for are these problems, these critical conditions that these sellers are going through, and it's your job to be able to help them get out of the situation. Now, of course, you're going to be paid for your efforts in exchange. So we'll go through both of these strategies in this particular video in more detail so you can understand exactly how it works. But just keep in mind, wholesaling is being able to find distressed real estate and contracting that real estate at a discount or purchasing it at a discount, and then assigning your contract or double closing the property to an end buyer, a cash buyer on the other end, so that you can go ahead and make a profit for your efforts. Another way to think about it and to simplify it for you in layman's terms is think about wholesaling like the pawn shop business of real estate. When you go into a pawn shop and you have an item for sale, you're not expecting to go into the pawn shop and get top dollar for your item, because you know that the pawn shop has to make a profit. You know that the pawn shop is not going to offer you what the value of the item is. Same thing in a wholesaling real estate business. A homeowner is looking for a solution to a problem, and in exchange for that, they're willing to let go of an asset in order to be able to get rid of the problem. So they're not necessarily looking for top dollar, they're just looking to get rid of an issue. And in exchange for that, they'll either make some money or get rid of the problem, or both. But at the end of the day, a wholesaler is like a pawn shop in the real estate business. And a homeowner is looking for a quick solution to be able to get out of the problem. And as a wholesaler, obviously, you'll get discounted real estate in order to make a profit. So I hope that kind of clears things up and makes it easier for you to understand. So let's go ahead and jump into the first step that you need to take care of in order to be able to get your first wholesaling deal over the next couple of weeks. All right, so the first thing that you want to do when you're wholesaling real estate is get your foundation set up. Now, what this involves is getting your business entity set up. So whether it's an LLC, an incorporation, or whatever the case may be, what I recommend you do is speak to an attorney or an accountant to get that done. And I will leave a link in the description box to an asset manager that I personally use in order to be able to get all of my entities set up for you. But in case you wanted to do this yourself, I am going to show you how to do this yourself really quickly as well. Another thing you want to do is make sure that you get your business bank account set up. And you also want to make sure that you get your phone lines set up so that you can operate your business effectively. So let's go ahead and jump into getting your business entity set up. And then I'm going to share with you some other tips on running your entity in order to be able to cash checks within your business, and then also how to get your phone lines set up. So let's go ahead and jump into this. So the first thing you want to do is go to your Department of State's website. Now, I want you to keep in mind that all of these sites are completely different. So you have to adapt this information, adjust it to your local area. Your area may be completely different than my area. Your Department of State's website, I'm willing to bet, will be different than my Department of State's website. But again, the idea here is to basically get your entity set up. Now, personally, I use LLCs when I'm operating my businesses. So whether you're a single member LLC or you have partners, let's say you're married and you want your spouse to be a partner, or you have a different business partner, you might want to file as a partner. But again, talk to an accountant, talk to an attorney to see what best fits you for your local area. Me personally, I've only ever used LLCs, and the way that I file may be different from what best fits you and your circumstances. Either way, if you don't have the money to go to an attorney, you might want to start off as a single member LLC and then grow your business to a point where you can go ahead and hire an attorney to be able to correct your paperwork for you at some point in the near future. But again, I'm not trying to give you legal or accounting advice. I recommend you speak to a professional to be able to get that done. But just for the purposes of this particular video, I will show you how to get the forms and everything set up through my state's website. And again, you would have to adjust it to your local area. So let's go ahead to sosnc.gov. And then once we get there, you can see there's a I want to drop down menu. Again, your particular state or your area may be completely different. You have to figure out how this works in your area. So I'm going to go to I want to, and on the business, I want to go ahead and start a business. I'm going to scroll down to where it says choose a business structure. I'm going to go ahead and click on limited liability company. Then once I click on limited liability company, there's a link here where I can get the form. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that link. And once I click on that link, if I scroll down a little bit, you can see articles of organization. It's $125 to set up an LLC in North Carolina. And that's about all the information that I need. So I'm just going to go ahead and download this by clicking on it. And again, this may be completely different in your area, but what you're looking for are the articles of organization that you need to fill out in your local area in order to get your business set up. Now, in addition to that, I'm also going to go ahead and make sure that my business name is available in the state. So I'm going to go ahead to where it says I want to, and under business, check name availability. And it says I want to select what you want to search for, which is the company that starts with, let's say 123 Main Street Real Estate LLC. And I'm just going to make sure that that name is available. That's a fictitious name I just made up, and you can see that there are no records found with that name. So that means that the name is available. So now that I know that the name is available, I'm going to go ahead and open up the document, and you can see that there's a bunch of instructions that are provided by the Department of State. I'm not going to read through that. If you want to read through it, you can go ahead to North Carolina's Department of State's website and download a copy of this for yourself. I'm going to scroll down though to the limited liability company articles of organization section. And under the first section, it basically says the name of the limited liability company is the name that we just searched for, 123 Main Street Real Estate LLC. And that is the fictitious name that we're setting up for this fictitious business. Under the second section, what you want to do is have your attorney's name, if you're using an attorney to set this up, as the organizer. Or if you're doing this yourself, you can use your name with your business address. And we'll talk about that in just a moment. So I'm just going to type in my name. Normally I use my attorney's, but we're going to use my name. And then we're just going to type in my business address right here, which is an actual address. Let's just say 123 Main Street. And the reason why you want to use your attorney's name, just so you know, for your knowledge, is for anonymity. And for those of you who don't know what anonymity is, just for your knowledge, it basically provides you with a level of privacy in your business. So if you don't want anybody to know who owns the business, then you use an attorney or a registered agent in order to be able to hide the ownership of the business. Now, that law may be changing pretty soon, where the government wants to know who owns each business, and it may be public information. But for now, this is how we're getting our businesses set up. But for the purposes of this particular video, I'm going to use Jamel Gibbs, 123 Main Street, as a member and organizer. If you're doing it yourself, this is how you want to do it. Under where it says the name of the initial registered agent, you can put, if you have a registered agent, you can put registered agent. If you don't have a registered agent, then you would obviously put your own name. Now, if you needed to find a registered agent, just go to Google and type in registered agents in your local area. So I'm just going to type in North Carolina. You can see a registered agent popped up right here on the side. So I can actually contact them, pay them maybe 50 to 100 bucks and use them as a registered agent for my business. But going back to the form here, if I use that service, I would obviously use registered agent, and I'll put their address here, put my mailing address here. Then under principal office information, if I have an office, I would put that information here. If I don't have an office, I will go ahead and check that box here. Now, any other provisions which the limited liability company elects to include, let's say, for example, an operating agreement, which you'll definitely need when you're doing business. Let's go ahead back to Google. I'll show you how to get the operating agreement for free. You can literally go to free operating agreement for single member LLC or for multi-member LLC. Use, let's say, one of these form templates, Rocket Lawyer. You can use eForms, Law Depot. Use one of these websites and you can literally get an operating agreement drawn up for free, or you can use an attorney to have this done for you. Again, I'll link in the description box an attorney that you can contact in order to be able to get this done. So that's how you get your operating agreement. You can attach that information to these forms when you submit to the Department of State's website. This is all optional information and I'm not going to fill out, but you just fill out the form. Just go through. It's pretty self-explanatory. At the end, you'll see there's a $125 fee. You can expedite it for an extra $100 in this state. That may be applicable in your state as well. But pay the fee, get the documents that you need, and get your business set up. That's part of step number one in getting your business off the ground. Now, once you have the forms submitted to the Department of State, the next thing you're going to have to do is go to irs.gov to get an EIN number. Now, for those of you who don't know what an EIN number is basically an employee identification number. So on the IRS website, I'm just going to go to the search bar and type in EIN, and then you can see right below it says apply for an employer identification number online. Just follow the instructions, click on apply now, and get your EIN number set up once you receive the documents from the Department of State that your LLC has been set up. Now, the reason why you want to have your LLC set up as well as your EIN number set up front is so that when you're wholesaling real estate and you start to receive checks, you can then have a bank account to put those checks into. So you're operating a business, treat it like a business up front. Now, is this completely necessary? Not necessarily. I went the first few years of being in the real estate business without a business setup, and I paid handsomely in taxes because of it. So by you getting set up front the right way, you're gonna benefit yourself tax-wise, protection-wise, things like that in order to be able to run an efficient wholesaling business. You know, once you get your forms from the Department of State and you get your EIN documentation, take that information and go to a bank to get your business bank account set up. Now, I personally use an online bank, which I'm going to leave in a description box for you as well. I'll go ahead and leave 2 banks that I personally recommend. I personally use these banks myself, and they're all online, less hassle. You'll be able to get your business bank account set up in no time, and it's really all you need. Now, if you need a physical bank that you like visiting, if you're one of those people, then go to a local bank and see if they offer business accounts in that particular bank. But for the purposes of this video, I'm gonna leave the 2 banks that I recommend in the description box below for you. So go ahead and get your business bank account set up. Now, once you have your business completely set up and you have your business bank account, you're also gonna need phone lines. Now, personally, I like to use multiple phone numbers when I'm operating my business. And the reason for that is so that I can track where my leads are coming from and I can put my effort toward those particular channels where those leads are coming from. So the best way to do that is to use a service like CallRail. I'm going to leave a link in the description box for you for that as well. If you don't use CallRail, you can also use the software Investor Deal Pro to be able to get the same result. But for the purposes of this particular video, I'm going to go ahead to callrail.com, and under pricing, you'll see that there is annual pricing and monthly pricing. I'm going to recommend you go with the monthly pricing to stay as lean as possible for your business. You don't want to be putting out a whole bunch of money up front. You want to grow as your business grows. And under the plans, you want to start with the cheapest plan, which is $45 a month, and it provides you with 5 different phone numbers. And I've already explained why you want multiple phone numbers. So you're going to go ahead and click on start a free 14-day trial. I'm going to go ahead and fill out this information and then see you guys on the inside. All right, so when you first get your account set up and you confirm it, what's going to happen is they're going to run you through an onboarding process. You don't need any of that. You can exit out of all of that stuff. And once you get to this page, then what we're going to do is go ahead and get your first 2 phone numbers set up. The reason why you want 2 phone numbers is because one of them is going to be your business cards and your main phone number, and the other is going to be your first marketing phone number. I'm going to show you how to do your first phone number, but then once you're ready to do your marketing, you go ahead and get your marketing phone number set up. So we're going to go ahead and get your main phone line set up for your business cards and things like that if you decide to get business cards. But then we're also going to set up your notifications as well as your call flow. So what we're going to do is go to where it says settings right here. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. I'm going to go to create phone number. I'm going to go to where it says I'll use the number offline, enter a phone number, and go ahead and click on number setup. Now, once I get to this particular page, I'm going to go to where it says number in a specific area code. For this particular video, we're going to use 336. And then it says, what would you like to name this number? Let's just say main phone line, and then click on number feature. I'm going to go ahead and deselect call recording, and I'm going to go ahead and activate the number. Now, once I activate the phone number, I'm going to go ahead and set up my call flow as well as my notifications. Now, by setting up my call flow first, what I'm going to do is click on call flow and go to direct to voicemail. Now, the reason why I want to go direct to voicemail is because I personally don't like to answer or have a phone line answered live unless I have an assistant. As you grow your business, you will have an assistant, and you can split test if answering your calls live versus going direct to voicemail will yield better results for you. That's something that you would have to split test. In the beginning, you want to stay as lean as possible. So send everybody straight to voicemail and then call them back. If they leave a message, definitely call them back first. If they don't leave a message and you have missed calls, which CallRail will let you know who's a missed call and who's not, you still want to call them back, because sometimes people, they may be motivated to sell, but they just don't leave messages. So when you call them back, you're making sure that you're scrubbing through your leads as effectively and efficiently as possible. So I'm going to go ahead and click on direct to voicemail, and under direct to voicemail, you're going to go ahead and click on play recording. Now, what I recommend you do is get a service like Audacity, which is a free audio download, which allows you to record on your computer and record a detailed voice message explaining to your incoming callers the information that you need from them. Now, personally, I had a professional voiceover done on Fiverr.com, and I use that voiceover for my business, and I provide it for my coaching clients as well. So when we get our CallRail accounts or our phone line set up, we have something already in place, which I know yields results. But all you really want to do is have a brief message stating that you buy houses, you're looking to purchase more real estate in the area. If they'd like to sell, leave their phone number with the property details and you'll call them back. Something along those lines should do well enough for you in order to start getting incoming calls. So once you record that through, let's say, a service like Audacity, and you download the MP3 file, you'll go ahead and upload it right here, click on save, and then you'll be all set as far as your direct to voicemail setup. The next thing you want to do after this is go ahead and get your notifications set up. So let's go ahead to the next screen. And as you can see on the next screen, you can go ahead and set up notifications. So I'm going to go ahead and click on create notifications. And you can see by clicking on create notifications, I can get notifications from all companies directly to me. I want calls and text messages. And if I want to customize it, I can. Now, as I'm creating the notification, I want all calls sent to me, all interactions, and the delivery is going to be through email and desktop push notification as well. Now, another thing that I like about CallRail is they have this app that you can download onto your phone and your desktop, and you can receive incoming calls through your desktop or your cell phone through the phone number that you have on, let's say, your business card. And you can also call back directly from your cell phone using that same business number. So even though you're calling from your cell phone, nobody will ever have your personal number. They'll have your business phone number. So you want to get that stuff downloaded, and you want to set up to receive notifications. So every time somebody calls you, whether it's a missed call or a voicemail, you'll have the notification sent to you, and you know to call these people back. So we go ahead and save on that, and we'll go through the process in order to get that stuff set up. So that takes care of your setup process. Again, you have your LLC set up, you have your EIN number, you have your business bank account, and you have your phone lines. That's really all you need foundational wise to move into step number 2, which is picking your market. Let's go ahead and get into that. Now, step number 2 is to go ahead and find your market. What I recommend you do is stay local, especially when you're just starting out, because you know your city better than any other city that you could tap into in order to be able to get your business started. So I recommend staying local. And if you wanted to expand outside of your local area, here's some criteria that you could use in order to be able to find the right market. You want a market that has a minimum population of at least, let's say, 200,000 up to 350,000 people, with a price range of about 250 to 300,000, maybe 350,000 on the median home price range as well. Now, obviously, this number can fluctuate based on your location, but generally in those secondary markets outside of the major cities where you want to be located, that 200 to maybe 350,000 people as far as population, it's kind of the sweet spot of where you want to be. And as far as price range, up to 350,000 is about right. Now, obviously, if you're in a smaller market, you're in what's considered a tertiary market, which are great markets as well. In those type of markets, you can go down to as little as 100,000 in the population and maybe 150,000 on the price range. But based on where you're located at, use those numbers as a way to gauge your market. Obviously, if you're in, let's say, New York City or San Francisco or Austin, Texas, or Los Angeles, or some of these higher priced areas, you have to go outside of those areas to be able to find markets just like this. But use those numbers as a gauge to be able to find the right market for you to get started in. Now, just for those of you who need a little more detail on how to go about finding this information, you can simply use Google to be able to do this. For example, if we go to my computer, let's say, for example, I wanted to type in population of Greensboro, North Carolina. When I type that in, I can see that the population, remember what I said, 200 to 350,000 people. I can see that this population is just shy of 300,000 people. And as far as the median price range of a home in the area, median price for home in Greensboro, North Carolina. If I click on that, I can see just going to realtor.com that the median price range is probably going to be somewhere right around $320,000 for a home. So this is right in that ballpark that I was saying you want to focus on. So you want to do your research on your local area. Again, you have the numbers for the population, and you also have the numbers for the median price range. Focus on those markets, stay as local to where you live as possible, and start your real estate investing business from there. So that's how you go about finding your market. All right, so once you have your market set, the next thing you want to do is narrow down in that market where you need to focus your attention. So the best way to do this is to use a service called listsource.com. And what you want to do once you get there is set up a free account up at the very top. And once you set up your free account, you're going to go ahead and log into your account. And I'm going to show you exactly how to find the hottest zip codes in your local area to focus your attention on. Now, once you're logged into your account, what you want to do is go to where it says create your own. And once you go to create your own, you're simply going to enter some information in order to be able to find the hottest zip codes in your local area. I'm going to go ahead to the drop down. I'm going to go to where it says city. And once I click on city, I got to go to state of North Carolina. And then I want to go to Greensboro, and I'm going to go ahead and add that. Now, once I click on Greensboro, I can see that there's a 95,123 properties in the area. I'm going to go ahead and click on property. Once I click on property, I'm going to go to the drop down menu, and I'm looking for equity percentage to be at least 91 to 100% equity in the property. And then once I do that, I'm going to last market sale date, and I want to do, let's say, the last 3 months. And the reason why I want to search for these is, again, I'm wholesaling. I'm looking to wholesale real estate. I want to find where the cash buyers are in my local area and where the activity is taking place with these cash buyers. So this is just a little bit of research that I'm doing in order to be able to find these cash buyers, where they're located, and then be able to find properties in those same locations that I know will sell eventually to these cash buyers. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on add to add the last 3 months into that box there. Then I'm going to go all the way over to where it says options, and I'm going to select absentee owner. The reason why I'm selecting absentee owner is because 9 times out of 10, a cash buyer is not going to live in their property if they're an investor. An absentee owner doesn't live in their properties. They're absent from the property. They're absentee owned. All right. So we're going to focus on in-state and out-of-state. And again, this is within the last 3 months with high equity, meaning they paid cash or close to it. So what I'm going to do is scroll down to where it says purchase list. And what we're going to do is go to where it says purchase partial list. And I'm going to show you how to get this information for free. So you can see that there's 98 leads available. Generally, I'd like to see more than that, but for the purposes of this video, 98 leads is fine. I'm going to go to where it says custom selection. I'm going to go to the drop down, and then I'm going to go to where it says zip code. And now I have all the information that I need to know where the activity is taking place in my local area. I can export this for free in order to be able to download it onto my computer, or I can take this information right here because I know where the activity is taking place. So you can see 27401, there was 11 sales. 27406, there were 19 sales, and it seems like this is the hot zip code right here. 27407, there were 16 sales. 27455, there were 15 sales. So all I want to do is take the top 5 zip codes, let's say, and I want to jot those zip codes down in order to be able to start contacting property owners in these particular zip codes. So that's how you go about narrowing down your market right within your local city in order to start finding the types of sellers that you're going to be focusing on in order to be able to find wholesale deals. All right, so now that you know exactly where the activity is taking place in your local area, the next thing you have to do is go out and find motivated sellers. Now, again, we talked about what motivated sellers were in the beginning of this particular video, but just to remind you of what a motivated seller is somebody that's going through some form of distress. This can be an absentee owner, a person that owns a vacant property, somebody that has backed up taxes on their property. Maybe they inherited a property they don't want. Maybe the property needs too much work and they don't have the money to fix it up. There's a multitude of problems that somebody has, and what you want to do is find the people with these problems and help them out of their situation. So in order to do that, I use a service called Investor Deal Pro. I'm going to go ahead and log into my account and show you how we use artificial intelligence in order to be able to sort the leads that we need off of this particular software. Let's go ahead and log into my account. Now, as you can see, we're logged into the back office of my account. The first thing I'm going to do is go over to where it says lead pipes, and under lead pipes, there's a tab that says property leads. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. And once I click on that, it's asking me where I want to search for property. So I can go back to that list and pull the zip codes where I want to focus my attention. I'm going to pull the top 5 zip codes. Now you can see that there's 41,220 properties available without implementing any other criteria. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to leave bed and baths alone for now. I'm going to go ahead and leave square footage alone. I'm going to go over to where it says AI scores. And I'm going to go ahead down to the drop down, and I'm looking for the wholesale score. I'd like for my minimum wholesale score to be relatively high. It says upwards of 999. So let's say 700 to the max. And let's see what that number drops down to. So you can see just by using artificial intelligence, that number dropped down to 1,103. Now, another thing I'm going to do is go over to where it says all lead types, and I'm just going to select absentee owners. Another thing I can personally do with my account is I can select multiple types of motivation. So for example, maybe free and clear, maybe vacancy, maybe pre-foreclosure or something like that. I'm just going to select vacancy, free and clear, absentee owners. The free and clear properties makes for good seller finance deals as well, but that's not the scope of this particular video. Now, just for full disclosure, I am the owner of Investor Deal Pro, and this is a service that I provide. If you'd like to take advantage of it, you can go ahead and check the link in the description box below. Now, in addition to that, what I'm also going to do is go over to where it says single +5, and I'm going to deselect condo, townhome, an apartment, and other. I'm just going to focus on single family and multifamily properties. And the reason why I'm focusing on these is because these are the types of properties that sell in my area. So you need to find out what sells in your area as well. You can see there's only 48 leads available. Now that's a relatively small list, which is perfectly fine with me. And the reason why I'm fine with it is because the artificial intelligence did all the work that I needed in order to be able to find the most motivated seller leads out of this particular list. So I'm going to go ahead and take all 48 leads. I'm going to go ahead and select all 48. And you can see that they all popped up under my leads. Now, what I can do is go ahead and download the entire list, or I can skip trace them right here. I'm personally going to go ahead and skip trace them. And once I skip trace them, the next step is to go ahead and contact the property owners. And there's only 48 of them. So let's go ahead and let me show you how to do that. Now, in order to go ahead and contact these property owners, there's 3 methods that I personally like to use, and I use them interchangeably. I use direct mail, I use cold calling, and I also use text messaging. Whenever I send out direct mail or we make an initial cold call, we always follow up with a text message. You want to remember that the money is always in the follow-up. So a small percentage of the people that you contact on the initial contact will actually want to sell their property. But you want to remember that this is a follow-up game. Majority of your deals are going to come from the people you follow up with the most. So an example of how we use direct mail in order to be able to contact people, we'll send them, let's say, a yellow letter or a postcard. And what works best for us are handwritten yellow letters or handwritten postcards. Then what we do is we go ahead and follow up with a text message once we know that the mail have actually hit their mailbox, and we say something like, hey, we just sent you a letter in the mail. It should be in your mailbox. When you get it, can you please give me a call? So it sparks some type of curiosity, and the seller will more than likely want to give you a call back to see who you are and what you're calling for. But in order to come up with these messages, you can use what's called ChatGPT. This is a new AI software. It's been around for a little bit now, and a lot of people are starting to adapt their real estate business to using this particular service. It's completely free. The way we've been using ChatGPT is to write our direct mail and text messaging for us. So let me give you an example of how that actually works. So here on ChatGPT, it says send a message. All I'm going to do is tell ChatGPT to please write a convincing yet compassionate letter to a vacant property owner expressing our interest in purchasing their property. I'm just going to go ahead and click on send message, and you can see ChatGPT will literally go ahead and write the letter for you. And once the letter is done, all you got to do is copy this letter, send it over to whatever mail house you're going to use in order to be able to get it done, or handwrite these letters yourself and go ahead and take it from there. And to take it a step further, another thing that I personally like to do is simplify the letter to a 4th grade reading level. So in order to simplify the letter, all I'm going to do is tell ChatGPT to write this same letter on a 4th grade reading level. And I'm just going to go ahead and click on search again, and you'll see that ChatGPT will simplify the letter to a 4th grade reading level for me. You can see it's a little shorter than what it was before. I'm going to go ahead and copy this, and then I want to verify that this is at a 4th grade reading level. In order to do that, there's a service called mymathtables.com, and I'll leave this link in the description box for you as well. I'm going to go ahead and click on the link and paste the message in there and then calculate what the reading level is for this. So you can see this is at a 5th grade reading level, not too far off of where I wanted to be, but you can keep going back to ChatGPT to simplify the letter further. And then once it hits the 4th grade reading level, then you know that your letter should be good to go. Now, obviously you want to review the letter. You want to keep putting your own twist into it, your own personality. But at the end of the day, ChatGPT and this My Math Tables readability website will do the hard work for you. So now that you have your letter, all you want to do is get this letter sent out to all 48 people on that list. If your list is larger, if it's smaller, it's perfectly fine. The object is to contact these people as quickly as possible. And I'll leave a link in the description box to a service that we personally use to handle all of our mailing pieces. All you have to do is tell them that you'd like to use the mailing campaign that Jamel Gibbs uses, and they'll get you all set up and they'll tell you exactly what they need. All right, y'all, so now that you know exactly how to contact these property owners, again, keeping in mind that there's a lot of different ways to do it. I just showed you one way using modern day technology. The next thing you're gonna have to do is screen the seller calls that come in. Now, when you're screening the seller calls, you want to make it more of a conversation versus an interrogation. You don't want to be interrogating the seller. You want to build rapport with the seller. So the best way to build rapport is to ask open-ended questions and listen to what the seller is telling you. The more the seller talks, the more information you gain, the more you get a chance to see how you can help them and create a situation that can be beneficial for the both of you in the transaction that you're trying to create. When you're talking to the seller, there's really 3, maybe 4 things that you really need to get from the seller in order to be able to know if you have yourself a potential deal or not. The first thing you're going to need to know is the seller's asking price for the property and what's the least amount that they'll take for the property. The next thing you need to know is how much work the property needs. And then finally, you're going to need to know how quickly they're looking to get rid of this property. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot more questions in order to be able to lead up to this particular information. And I have a complete detailed video that you can watch right on my YouTube channel that I'll go ahead and link up at the top for you. Be sure to watch that video after watching this to understand how to talk to a seller to get the information that you need from the seller. Now, once you have the information that you need from the seller, the next thing you're going to want to do is set up an appointment to go out and see the property. And while you're at the property, you're going to be doing a couple of things. You're going to be looking for problem areas that the property has. You're going to be taking pictures of the property. You just want to get a general idea of the condition that the property is in. So now that you've actually seen the property, what I want you to do is go ahead and use the following numbers that I'm going to share with you right now in order to be able to come up with an idea of how much work the property needs. And we're going to use what's called the square footage approach. What I personally do is take the square footage of the property and I'll multiply it by a certain amount per square foot in order to be able to come up with an idea of how much work a property can potentially need. So let's just say, for example, the fictitious property that we're using as an example is about 1,000 square feet. What I'm going to do is go ahead and rate the property from a 1 to a 5. 1 being the worst, 5 being the best. So let's just say that this particular property was a 4 or a 5. I'm probably going to give it a $15 to $20 per square foot estimate when I run my numbers. If it was a 2 or a 3, I'm probably going to give it somewhere between $25 and $30 per square foot when I'm running my numbers. And if it was a 1, probably $35 or more based on how much work the property actually needs. Now, the object here is not to get the property to become the Taj Mahal. That's not what we're looking for. We're just coming up with an estimate to get this property in livable shape and be able to sell it off to somebody else. Now, obviously, these numbers can fluctuate from market to market, but that's the square footage approach that we use. And if you want more information on how that actually works, be sure to check the link in the tags up at the top as well. All right, so now once you have a rough idea of how much work the property needs, the next thing you're gonna do is go ahead and formulate an offer to be able to present to the seller. Now, again, what you're looking to do is create a situation where you can help the seller out of their current circumstances while getting this property at a fair enough price to be able to make a profit. You're gonna be paid for your time. So you need to be able to get this property at a discount. And the best way to do this is to use a formula that I've personally been using over 20 years myself, and it's the Mayo formula. And basically, that Mayo formula allows you to purchase properties at a discount while still being able to provide a fair price to be able to help the seller out. Now, the first thing you're gonna need to do in order to be able to formulate an offer for the seller is find comparable houses nearby in order to be able to formulate an offer. And you can use the Investor Deal Pro software that we went through earlier in order to be able to do that. Let me show you exactly how that works. So let's just say, for example, we're looking to run comps on a potential property. I'm gonna paste the address into the search bar, and then I'm gonna go ahead and search for the address. Now, as you can see, the wholesale score is relatively high on this one. What we're gonna do is click on comparable sales, and we're gonna allow the software to do all of the research for us. And all I wanna do is find like and kind properties within a 1/4 mile radius that sold within the last few months. So if I'm looking at the property, you can see 306 Milton Drive is one comp. We can see 1801 Dunlith Way is another one. We can see 1715 is another one. And we can see 2 more. What we're looking for are at least 3 to 5 comps that we can average out to be able to get a price for this particular property. You can see the software automatically averages the sales price out to $268,000. But let's look at when these properties were actually sold. We can see one just sold a couple of months ago on March 10th. Another one sold a couple of weeks ago. This one sold a couple of weeks ago. All of these are relatively new sales. We got May 31st, we got May 24th, we got March 10th, we got February, and then we got May again. So these are all good, solid comps that we can use. And it gives us an average price of $268,800 on this particular property. So now that we have an average price of what this property can be potentially worth, what we're gonna do is formulate an offer to be able to present to the seller. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna type in ARV of $268,000, and we're gonna say that this property doesn't need a lot of repair. We're just gonna say it's 1,000 square feet. These aren't accurate numbers, obviously, but I'm just giving you a general idea of how this actually works. But let's just say that the property is 1,000 square feet and it needs a moderate amount of work. We're gonna use $25 per square foot for the purposes of this particular video. So that would mean that the property needs about $25,000 in work. And again, if you want a more detailed explanation of how this actually works, there's a link up in the tags for you to be able to watch another video. And what we're gonna do is take 268,000, we're gonna multiply that number by 0.70 using the Mayo formula, and we're gonna subtract $25,000 in repairs off of that. And that's gonna leave us with the top price that we can actually pay of $163,160. Now, in addition to that, we also have to subtract our wholesale fee. Now, the average wholesale fee is right around $10,000. So let's just say that we subtract $10,000 on this, and that's gonna leave us at an offer price of $153,160. And that will be the offer that you present to the seller. Now, another thing that I want you to keep in mind is we're gonna set realistic expectations. You're not going to get the first offer that you put out to a motivated seller. Usually it takes about 20 to 25 of these offers before you get an accepted agreement from a seller. So let's set realistic expectations up front. It takes a lot of work to be able to do this. You're gonna have to talk to enough people. And if you don't get a deal within, let's say, the first few weeks, look at your numbers. See how many offers you've made and keep pushing until you actually hit that number or even surpass that number in order to be able to see where you need to make adjustments. But don't judge your results until you've actually made at least 20 to 25 of these offers, because this is a numbers game. So at this point, you understand exactly how to go out and find your market. You know how to contact the sellers. You know how to screen the sellers. You know how to view the properties. You know how to see how much work the property needs. And you also know how to make an offer on a property. Once you get an offer accepted, the next thing you're gonna have to do is send the seller an agreement. Now, I'm not gonna go into all of the details of the agreement, but you can use a simple standard purchase and sale agreement in order to be able to get the deal done. The only thing you want to add onto the agreement is and or assigns after your name. So for example, if we're using 123 Main Street Real Estate LLC, we're going to add and or assigns in back of the name in order to be able to make the contract assignable. Now, if you'd like to get a copy of the agreement that we personally use, be sure to check the link in the description box. You're gonna have to enter your email so that we can send you the agreement, but you'll have access to the agreements that we use in my business. Now, another thing that you wanna keep in mind is we use a service called DocuSign in order to be able to get all of our contracts signed by the seller. So when you're talking with the seller at the property and you decide to present an offer to the seller, make sure you get the seller's email address. And obviously you wanna make sure you contact them through phone before sending the agreement over to them to verify that they actually received the agreement. So we use DocuSign in order to be able to do that. And I've actually put together a separate training on how to use DocuSign to get your agreement signed that I'll link up at the top for you as well. All right, so check it out. Once you have a signed agreement from a motivated seller, the next thing you're gonna have to do is go out and find a buyer in order to be able to sell your contract to. Now, you're not selling the house because you need a license to be able to sell the house, but you can sell your equitable interest in your contract over to a buyer. Now, the best place to find buyers, from my experiences over 20 years of doing this, has been through Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Let me share with you an example of how we use Craigslist in order to be able to do this. And you can take the same concept and use Facebook Marketplace in order to be able to find cash buyers as well. Check it out. All right, so what I want to do is show you some of the ads that we use on Craigslist. Now, the first thing I recommend you do is have a Craigslist account. It's free and it will help you keep track of all of your ads that you post on Craigslist in order to be able to renew them or reuse them if you need to in the future. So another thing I want you to keep in mind is when you're selling these properties, you're only able to sell to one person. So everybody that contacts you, make sure you get their name, their email address, and their phone number as well so that you can build up your buyers list. And this way, when you find more deals, what you can do is email those deals out to your buyers and you can be able to sell these properties a lot quicker. But what I'm going to do in this video is just show you two examples of the ads that we place on Craigslist. And again, you can use these ads on Facebook Marketplace as well. In fact, we also use these same exact ads when we send the emails to our buyers list in order to be able to get our properties sold. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and log into my Craigslist account. And after I log into the account, I'm just going to pull up 2 simple ads that we use so that you can get an idea of how to word these properties in order to get them to sell. Let's go ahead and pull up the first ad. All right, so here's an example of the first ad. Now, this is a property we had a little while ago here in North Carolina. It was a fixer-upper for sale, investor special. You can see the title right there. But all it does is provide the property description, which was a single family with a lot of potential, needs work. Property specifications was a 2-bedroom, 1-bath, electric heating. It was built in 1940. Again, we reiterated that it needs work. The cash price was $36,500. We were asking for serious buyers only, and inquire about this property by replying to this ad. So what we did was provide some basic information on the property, nothing too special, and we provided them with a call to action. If you want to know about this property, let us know. You know the price, you know what the property details are. Contact us if you're serious. And that's basically how this ad was written, and this property sold within 2 weeks. Let me give you an example of another one. All right, now here's an example of a package deal that we sold here in North Carolina. This particular ad says great combo package in Thomasville, North Carolina. It says great package deal must be sold together. So we set the standards right up front. It says property details, vacant 3-bedroom, 1-bath, 1,156 square feet, location on June Street in Thomasville. It was a cash deal, $42,500. Repairs, buyers to do their own due diligence. So we didn't actually tell the buyer how much repairs this property needed. They needed to do their own research and make us an offer. It says, notice we are assigning our rights in our agreement to the highest bidder for a profit. So we're letting them know right up front that we're assigning our contract in this one. Serious inquiries only, please. Says great package deal must be sold together. Second property details. We provided the details of the second property. Second property was going for $40,000. Together, it was an $82,500 deal. We basically told them how to contact us to view the property. We gave them a little bit of motivation. Don't sleep. Our deals move pretty quickly. So make your offer ASAP if you're interested. Get professional advice and conduct due diligence prior to investing. So again, we're protecting ourselves with this disclosure. Again, notice we are assigning our rights in our contract to the highest bidder for a profit. So this is just an example of another ad that we place. All of our ads look relatively similar. Sometimes we'll tell a story, sometimes we don't. A lot of times it's just a detailed ad providing the bullet points that people need to know in order to be able to make an offer on the property. So that's how we use Craigslist. Again, we do the same exact thing on Facebook Marketplace. We send the same exact ad. We'll literally copy this ad and paste it into our email in order to blast to our buyers list. This works really well for us. Obviously, you want to create your own style. You want to make sure that you're adding your own flavor into this, but you want to provide the buyers with the details that they need in order to be able to make an informed decision on a property if they're interested in it. Another thing that we do is we take pictures of properties and we'll upload them onto Google Drive and simply send them the link to the Google Drive so that they can view the pictures and videos on there. All right, y'all. So we're coming down the stretch at this point. Once you find a cash buyer, your next objective is to go ahead and assign your contract to the cash buyer. Again, if you want a copy of my assignment of agreement of sale, be sure to check the link in the description box for that assignment. The contract is a 1-page agreement, pretty self-explanatory. It is an addendum which you attach to the initial contract. So you'll have to give your buyer a copy of the initial contract as well, and they will see how much you're actually paying for the property. But it doesn't matter, because if they want to do long-term business with you, then they won't mind you making an extra $10,000 or $20,000 in order to be able to provide them with a decent deal. And that's when it comes to assigning agreements. If you're going to have to do a double close on these contracts, there's transaction funders out there who will fund the entire deal for you, provided you have an end buyer to show that they can actually get their money back. I'll go ahead and link in the description box again a transaction funder that you can use in order to be able to get your deals done. And they'll explain what their criteria is. Most transaction funders will charge you about $800 to $1,000 in order to be able to get it done. But if you think about it in the grand scheme of things, it'll cost you $1,000 plus a little bit of closing costs to be able to get an extra $7,000 to $8,000 in profit. Basically, all you're going to do is wholesale your contract over to your end buyer if you're assigning a contract, or you're going to use what's called transaction funding in order to be able to double close on a deal if you need to close the transaction. And once you get your assignment of agreement signed, all you need to do is contact the closing attorney that your buyer wants to use or that you were using in the first place and monitor the deal all the way through closing. If you're doing a double close type of deal and not an assignment of contract, what we typically do is we'll have a fresh purchase and sale agreement signed by our buyer and us, and we'll sell it to them as if we're the owners of the property. Because technically, when they purchase it from us, we will be the owners if we're using transaction funding. So that's how we close our wholesale deals. Again, monitor the deal all the way through, cash your check, put it into your bank account that you set up in the very beginning, and then rinse and repeat this over and over again as much as you want. This can absolutely change your life. This is a business that you don't need a lot of money with. You don't need any credit. You'll never take ownership of the property if you choose not to. And if you do, it'll be for a day or so. You don't have to worry about tenants and toilets and all this other stuff. And I do think that this needs to be part of your investing arsenal to continue having cash coming into your business, as well as allowing you to be able to build your money up, to be able to take that money and build up passive cash flow through rental real estate. So I hope that you benefited from this particular video. I try my best to provide you with a step-by-step process in the shortest amount of time that you can implement in order to be able to start wholesaling real estate today. Remember, this is a numbers game. Don't look at it as a get-rich-quick scheme. Understand that you have to make 20 to 25 offers in order to be able to get a deal. And the more 20 to 25 offers you make, the more deals you'll get at an average of $10,000 per deal. You do 10 of these a year, you're making an extra 6 figures every single year. Be sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell. I hope you benefited from this video. Check all the links in the description box that you can use in order to be able to assist you in your endeavors as far as wholesaling real estate. And I'll see you on the next one.